Most people carry a quiet, settled belief about themselves, that they are decent, that they are calm, and that they would recognize cruelty in themselves long before they crossed into it. They think of themselves as measured, rational people who would not be swept up by group pressure, authority, or the anonymity of a screen. But history and psychology keep delivering the same deeply uncomfortable finding, and it does not care how certain you are of your own moral character. Under the right conditions, ordinary people can change frighteningly fast. Not into monsters, into slightly altered versions of themselves that they barely recognize when they finally look in the mirror. A person who thinks of themselves as kind becomes aggressive in a comment section without noticing the shift. A quiet employee who never wanted power finds themselves enjoying authority over the people they once treated as equals. A perfectly normal crowd turns against one stranger with a speed and cruelty that none of its individual members would have managed alone. And someone says something inside a group that they would never say if they were standing alone. The most disturbing part is not that it happens. The most disturbing part is that the people it happens to usually do not feel themselves changing while it is happening. Philip Zimbardo, a psychologist at Stanford University, spent decades trying to understand why, and he gave what he found a name: the Lucifer Effect. The title comes from the biblical story of the favored angel of God who fell from grace and became the embodiment of evil. Not fallen because of some hidden darkness in his nature, fallen because of where he ended up and what that place quietly did to him. And that distinction, Zimbardo argued, changes everything about how we understand human behavior. In August 1971, Zimbardo placed an advertisement in local newspapers asking for male college students to participate in a psychological study of prison life. More than 70 men applied, and 24 were carefully selected after thorough psychological screening to confirm they were mentally stable, physically healthy, and well-adjusted. A coin flip randomly decided who would become guards and who would become prisoners. The basement of the Stanford Psychology building was converted into a mock prison, complete with cells, a solitary confinement closet, and a warden station. None of the students who walked in believed they would change. The guards were issued khaki uniforms, wooden batons, and mirrored sunglasses, specifically designed to prevent prisoners from making eye contact with them. Within the first day, guards had begun issuing arbitrary rules and demanding compliance with no real justification. Within 2 days, they were waking prisoners in the middle of the night for surprise inspections that served no purpose except to demonstrate control. Within 6 days, some guards had become genuinely sadistic in ways that no one had prompted or suggested. Prisoners had emotional breakdowns within 48 hours, and one had to be released after just 36 because of uncontrollable psychological distress. Zimbardo himself admitted that he had become so absorbed in the prison environment that he had begun thinking like a superintendent rather than a researcher. The experiment was supposed to run for 2 weeks. It was shut down after 6 days because of what it was doing to everyone inside it. The students were not bad people. The situation changed them. And the situation changed them fast. The central argument of the Lucifer Effect is that we have been asking the wrong question about human cruelty. We ask what kind of person does something terrible, but Zimbardo showed that the more important question is what kind of situation produces that behavior. Power changes how people perceive the humans around them, and it does it in ways the powerful person is rarely aware of. Empathy weakens as status increases, and the process is so gradual that the person losing it rarely notices it going. Zimbardo called this de-individuation, the gradual erosion of individual identity inside a role, a uniform, or a group, until the person becomes more function than human being. The easiest way to treat someone badly is to stop seeing them as a full human being, and environments and roles make this disturbingly easy. Uniforms create distance. Labels create distance. And usernames create the same psychological separation in a way that no one fully anticipated when the internet was built. It is genuinely easier to insult a username than a face, because the username does not look back at you and remind you that you are dealing with a person. The internet did not create cruelty, but it did something almost as significant. It removed the three conditions that usually hold cruelty in check. When people feel anonymous, research consistently shows they behave significantly more aggressively toward others. When a crowd forms online around a target, the dehumanization can happen within minutes, and the speed of it is one of the most striking features of the modern version of the Lucifer effect. Crowds become cruel faster than individuals do, because the group creates a permission structure that no single person would grant themselves acting alone. Now ask yourself this honestly, and take a moment before you answer. Would you say the same things online if the person you were writing about were standing directly in front of you and you had to look at their face while you said it? For hundreds of thousands of years, humans survived in small groups, and belonging to the group was not a social preference, it was a biological necessity. Being accepted meant food, protection, and warmth. Being rejected for most of human history did not mean social discomfort. It meant death. That ancient wiring is still inside every modern human being, shaping behavior in ways people rarely examine. It is the reason people laugh at jokes that are not funny when everyone around them is laughing. It is the reason people join in criticizing someone they know almost nothing about, simply because the group around them already started. And it is the reason people stay silent when something feels deeply wrong. Because speaking up risks exclusion, and exclusion still registers in the human brain as a survival threat. In 1951, psychologist Solomon Asch showed that when a group confidently gives an obviously wrong answer, most individuals will agree with the group, rather than trust their own perception. Humans are far more shaped by the people around them than they want to believe. And the shaping happens in moments too quiet to notice. In 2007, Zimbardo published The Lucifer Effect, Understanding How Good People Turn Evil, applying the Stanford findings to something much larger than one basement experiment. He applied the framework to the documented prisoner abuses at Abu Ghraib in Iraq in 2003, where ordinary soldiers placed in an environment of minimal oversight escalated into behavior that shocked the world. His argument was that it was not fundamentally about bad soldiers. It was about a bad barrel, and the barrel was changing everyone placed inside it. Environments normalize behavior that individuals would find unthinkable if they encountered it in isolation. The most dangerous changes are almost always gradual. Small rule bending feels harmless, and it is small enough that the person barely registers having done it. Then larger rule bending feels normal, because it is not that much further than the last step. And then things once considered impossible become routine, because the person can no longer see the original line. This is not a historical curiosity that happened to other kinds of people in other kinds of places. The same mechanisms Zimbardo documented are operating in workplaces, online platforms, and political groups right now. A workplace culture that consistently rewards aggression will slowly produce aggressive people, even from those who arrived gentle and open. Political tribalism works through the same process, where people gradually identify more with the group than with their own individual values, until the group begins making decisions for them. Most people are not one fixed personality walking through the world unchanged by the environments around them. You are, to a significant and sometimes uncomfortable degree, who your environments have shaped you to be. And the people around you are quietly shaping who you become, one unremarkable interaction at a time. The frightening part of the Lucifer effect is not that humans are secretly monsters waiting for the right conditions. It is that human behavior is far more flexible than most of us are comfortable admitting, and that flexibility operates mostly below the level of conscious awareness. Under pressure, inside groups, behind screens, and under authority, people slowly become versions of themselves they never anticipated. And most of the time, they do not notice it happening because they feel justified throughout the process. Maybe the real lesson is not to fear other people. Maybe it is to pay much closer attention to the environments you spend time in, the groups that shape your thinking, and the slow, invisible ways the world around you is deciding who you are. The environments you inhabit are not neutral. They are shaping you right now, whether you notice it or not. If this video shifted how you see something in your own life, I want to hear about it in the comments. What is one environment in your life that has quietly shaped you in a direction you did not expect? Subscribe to Akora, because next time, we look at something just as quietly disturbing.